Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you. Thank you.
Reverend? Another Reverend?
Mighty Reverend.
I'm a little nervous. I haven't seen so many Reverends and gosh, where do I start? I have just followed some amazingly gifted speakers. And Reverend Bullock woke you up, and I hope I don't put you back to sleep. So I'll try my best. First of all, I'd like to thank this place and the Reverends all the Reverends for inviting me, but especially Mom and Baba Simmons, who opened up Hush House to us and arranged this amazing schedule in Detroit. And when I say us, I'm not here by myself. I have my team over here. Dan Levy is he's a photographer. He volunteered to come along and photograph the tour, put it up on social media, and hopefully integrate those kind of things when we have a documentary. And Malcolm Chaddick is over there. He's driving the support vehicle. And what am I doing? Some of you might not know that I am on a cross-country cycling tour from California to Washington, D.C., which I like to call Washed Up D.C. It's a 90-day tour. We have 25 days left. So 90 minus 25 is 65, I think. I used to teach math, but as you get older, some of those skills leave. You have to remember how to brush your teeth. So remembering math goes out of your head. But anyway, we've stopped 65 times. And all 65 of those places are more important than what's happening in Washed Up D.C. You know, people, and I have been listening, and I had a wonderful opportunity to speak to Mama and Baba, and Monica, and Deborah, and other people. I just met Crystal earlier, but to find out what's really happening here in Detroit. Now, listening, we see this economic collapse all over the world, right? But where did it start? It started here. You all are the vanguard. But you're also our inspiration. Because as Mama said, you choose to live and not die. You choose to just not survive, you choose to thrive. And how have you done that? Because you have turned to each other. You know you have scoundrels in Detroit. You know you have scoundrels in your state government. We know we have scoundrels in Washed Up D.C. We know that they couldn't care less about us and our struggles. But who does? We care. That's right. We care about each other. And so we see this ripple effect of trickle-on economics. It's not trickle-down, it's trickle-on. We see it spreading around the world, but here in the 65 communities we've stopped in, we've seen people turning towards each other to build community. And I said earlier, the economy trickles down on us, but we have to spread these caring communities across the nation and trickle up love and community to them. That's right. Right? We're finished. We're finished being trickled on. And what we do in community is build an umbrella over our communities to protect ourselves from that. Right? We protect ourselves from collapse. And but struggling to get into the seats of power, like Crystal and Monica are doing, are so important. That's right. You know, not just important for victory, because every day we're in the struggle is a victory. That's right. You know, I've been only doing this since my son was killed 9 years ago. Some of you have been doing it for decades. And they get tired, don't we? We get frustrated, don't we? We think, oh my God, this is me. I am such an A-type personality that I think if I started putting everything I had into ending the wars, they should be over in a year. Or sooner. Here I am 9 years later, and this is just a continuation of when the white Europeans came over on the Mayflower, right? This hasn't stopped. It's not like, and George Bush didn't invent all this crap. I almost said the S word. He didn't invent it. Dick Cheney didn't invent it, although I think he was one of the people that came over on the Mayflower. It started a long time ago, and I don't have to tell you all anything about that, right? And so the hope that I see, and hope trickles up, it doesn't trickle on, right? There's more hope in this room. There's more hope in your little fingers than exists in Washington, D.C. Come on, right? And so that's what's so exciting to me and to us on Tour de Peace. To see people say, you know what, we hate Monsanto. We hate that they're poisoning our children. We hate that they're poisoning our communities. That they're spreading their toxic GMO seed around the world. But people around the world are standing up and burning those crops down. So what do? We stand with the sign. You know, and we think that like the Reverend said, we think Monsanto's going to read that sign and go, oh gosh, we need to change our ways. Well, we can choose to burn down crops, or we can choose to grow our own crops. That's right. Right? And I think the more healthy thing to do is to grow your own crops. Right? But don't put it past somebody that might burn some crops down. That's nonviolence, I think. You know, these people are poisoning. These people are responsible for Agent Orange. How many Vietnam vets do we have in this? You know, so many are dying from Agent Orange exposure. They invented PCBs. They invented Roundup. And we want them in our food? No, we don't want them in our food. Who wants them in our food? The government, the lobbyists. You know, the revolving door of appointees and Monsanto. You know, and so we can say we hate the big bangs. But what can we do? Is we can develop a community that has local trade, that has local script, that says, you know, I don't like this shirt anymore, but I'm going to give it to somebody who might need it. You know, something like that. Cooperative. You know, like Bob said earlier, there's no such thing as throwing things away because there's no way. Where does it go when you throw it away? Right? It contaminates somebody's community for sure. That's right. We can say we hate war, and we do hate war. You know, we hate war here and we hate war abroad. But how can we stop it? You know, I poured everything I have into this movement to stop, to end war, to end empire. Everything. Money, health. I've sacrificed relationships. I am riding across the country for 90 days, and if anybody here is a grandmother, you know how much I miss my grandbabies. That's right. But I'm doing it for all the grandbabies of the world, right? Everything. And that's another thing. You know, I am uncompromisingly against war, no matter if it's a Democrat or Republican waging it. I am uncompromisingly against environmental devastation, against economic oppression. You know, and I have, like I said, I've been arrested 20 times. You know, I have written 7 books. I have demonstrated, I don't know, walked thousands of miles. I just rode my bike thousands of miles to be here. That's right. You know, I have camped out in front of George Bush's ranch. I have camped out ride around the White House, present a petition of our demands, and then I'm going to go home. Because first of all, if I spend more than a few hours there, I will end up in jail. And I don't want to spend 4th of July in jail in Washington, D.C. I mean, I will if I have to. Now, see, that's the other thing. I'm going to have to give somebody my flight information, because if somebody pisses me off, I will end up in jail. But if you have to, you have to. So if you don't have to, then don't do it. You have to. But I'm not thinking that the president or Congress is going to say, here's Cindy Sheehan again. But this time she rode her bike. So this time we're going to listen to her. I don't think that that's actually going to happen. I don't think there's going to be any bills signed or any orders given. But what we are doing is going across the country saying that the principles of the government, the principles of what Occupy called the 1%, don't match our principles.
That's right.
Hardly ever. And if anything happens that helps us, you know that their interests have been served also, right? In a better way than us. And so what we're saying is that we can't be chained to partisan politics based on our activism. Our activism can't be based on that. Our activism has to be principle-based on our core values, right? So if we're against war, we're against all war. I mean, if we're pro-peace, we think that there's a peaceful, nonviolent solution to every problem. But like Nehemiah, we keep our hands on our weapons. Because I'm going to tell you, the violence doesn't come from the revolution, it comes from the counter-revolution. And we have the right to defend ourselves.
That's right.
I'm not telling you anything. I'm telling you something. But I listened more to what you were telling me. And this is the second time I've been in Detroit. The first time I was in Detroit, I was given an award from the Cranbrook Peace Institute, which I don't even think is in Detroit.
No.
Yeah. I think that it's more upper class. I don't know. But I just flew into the airport. They took me downtown. I stayed at a hotel there. The thing, the convention or the dinner, whatever, was close by. That's all I saw. Yesterday I rode my bike here. And I rode from Ann Arbor. And I rode down 7 Mile Road. 7 Mile Road was very lovely. Very upper class. I want to tell you that before we leave this area, one of those races on 7 Mile Road might be missing a lawn jockey they have out there. Remove it, then I'm not, what is said in this room stays in this room. investment that you have in your communities that is not matched by your government. Their slash and burn policy.
That's right.
And I know that Detroit matches the nation in, well, you guys unfortunately lead the nation in empty housing units and homeless people. If there's one homeless person in one empty housing unit, why is there one homeless person? And I go to Venezuela frequently, and they are busy building houses to put their people in. Here we have empty houses, and we have millions of homeless people. You know, there's an estimate of 18 million empty housing units and about 3 million homeless people. I said 5 houses earlier. That's 6 houses per person, and even babies. And babies don't need their own house. Babies should be in the house with their family. That to me that's a monster. Yes. That's a monster. And you know, to be here where people who inspire me, their lives inspire me. Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. and the mother of Emmett Till. I really, really identify with her. You know, Martin Luther King Jr., and see, I'm here, and it's really hard to say we need peace. You know, because we know that there's people in other countries who are being murdered, tortured, their communities are being destroyed, they're being displaced, made refugees in their own countries. But we here have a day-to-day struggle for survival. And so, but Martin Luther King Jr., and again, I'm already telling you things you know, but I have felt such an enormous connection to him and his struggle since my son was killed on the same day he was killed on April 4th. And I said, you know, like Mama Sandra said, complexion doesn't matter. Right. My son was killed by the same forces that assassinated Martin Luther King Jr. That's right. And so these are the monsters. And when Dr. King gave that Beyond Vietnam speech on April 4th, and I got to speak at that church, the Riverside Church, on an April 4th, the year after my son was killed. I had that honor, as I have this honor now. His fellow community said, don't link the wars with civil rights. Don't link the wars with racism. You know, we want to concentrate on civil rights. And what did Dr. King do? He rejected that kind of thinking. He said the 3 biggest evils in the world today are militarism, poverty, and racism. Has anything changed? No. Has anything changed? So we have to link our struggles together. I'm a peace activist, but peace also means economic equality. Peace also means justice, not just for the 1%, but for everybody. You know, peace means economic justice. Peace means education that is free and good and accessible from preschool or even daycare to university, right? Justice, economic justice means single-payer healthcare, good healthcare for everybody. Everybody in, nobody out of the system. And healthy food is a right. Access to good clean water is a right. When I heard that 50,000 Detroiters don't have water, that is a scandal. It's obscene. How can that exist in the so-called richest country in the world? Right? And so all these issues are linked. And we hate war. We don't want our children to die or kill other people's children. So as a community, even though we honor our veterans, as a community, we should be doing everything we can today to prevent our young people from joining the military. You know, my own son trying to get a college education. You know, there's no jobs. Education's too expensive. And what about the kids that don't want to go to school? How come there's not apprenticeship programs and job training and good jobs? Not at McDonald's, good jobs. And good wages. And good benefits. And so I have this great plan. Actually, I'm running for governor of California in 2000. My state to do it and somebody running for office or somebody in office, it's not their job to impose their will. It's their job to work with the will of the people. And not only is that their job, but it's their job to get people invested in their own lives and their own communities so much that they want to help their leaders do the right thing, right? So I have this great plan for economic equality. So, you know, people in Congress, Washington, D.C., they make lots of money. They make way more money than we do. I think a congressperson makes like $180,000 a year. Plus they only have to go for 1 term or 2 terms to get full retirement. Their health care is 110%. And so my plan is that Congress can only make the federal minimum wage. Right? Guess what happens? The federal minimum wage will be like $100 an hour. Right? So, that's a great plan, huh? And every person in this country gets the same benefits that Congress does. Right? Why should we be suffering with all kinds of health, dental, mental issues? Why should we be suffering and not be able to get the help that we need while they get 110%
That's right.
health coverage? That is baloney. I would have said something else, but I'm in a church. You know what I'm talking about. Right? So, the thing that I love about you guys is that you have already imagined a better way of doing things and you're doing it.
That's right.
The rest of the people in the country, they need your help. They need your inspiration. Because we are so, from the time we're born to the time we die, from the time we wake up to the time we go to sleep, we're struggling for survival. And see, survival to some people means different things. Survival to somebody around where I live might mean I have to work 3 jobs so I can pay for a house and 2 cars. Survival to another person might mean I can't find a job and I can't eat. I have to find food. So the struggle, everybody's struggling. And they think because we've been struggling this way for decades that it always has to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way. You know, it can be so much better. I mean, but the countries that are doing it better than us, like Cuba and Venezuela, are demonized. You know, those are terrible dictators that kill their own people. You know, and we can't go to Cuba. I've been to Cuba 3 times, because nobody's going to tell me where I can go or where I can't go, right? So, they don't want us to go to Cuba because they don't want to know they've been lying about the revolution for 50 years, right? So, we can come home and say, guess what? Cuba old go to bed hungry every night. And this terrible, horrible communist country of Cuba has eradicated it. Cuba is number 2 in literacy in the world because they have free universities. They make education a priority. Right? So they don't want the powers that be, the establishment, the status quo, the 1%. They don't want that threat of a good example. They want to think that, we need to be chained to our jobs, chained to our debt, chained to our struggle for survival. But we're breaking those chains and we're struggling. We're going to struggle together, not to survive, but to thrive. Because we're in community already. And when it collapses, like Mama said, what are they going to do? Be in their friendless in their beds? With no money, no servants? Then what the heck are they going to do? So being like this is a true movement. And don't think that we're not being victorious. I get frustrated. People say, Cindy, what keeps you going? People get frustrated and they quit, or they get tired and they quit, or they get ill and they quit. What keeps me going is that, like I said, every day that we're here in the struggle is a victory. Every day that we don't give up is a victory. And every day we can stick it into the eye of the establishment by just basically saying, you're not important to us. We don't care about you. We care about each other. Or whatever we can do to stick it to them is a victory. And we might not end war in 1 year like I thought I could. We might not end poverty in 1 year. But how much worse off would we be without people that didn't give up? And the establishment wants us to give up. They do. And they try everything to get us to give up. Well, thank you for being the inspiration to us, and we will tell your story over and over and over again. And also I bring those stories to you of the other communities who are suffering a little farther behind than you, but they are turning towards each other.